Welcome to Vator Box, the show where we review your pitches. I'm Bambi Francisco. Well, today's segment, we're going to be focusing on professional social networks, specifically networks for entrepreneurs and small business owners seeking funding. And with me today is Lise Buyer. She is a former internet analyst. She's also a former employee at Google. In fact, she was brought into Google to help the company go public back in 2003, went public in 2004. Of course, we have Ezra Roizen, our Vator Box regular and digital media investment banker. So today's topic is definitely something that you both can speak to in depth. We're looking at services trying to be the matchmaker between entrepreneurs and investors. On Facebook alone, by the way, 80,000 people have registered as small business owners, and last year 57,000 companies received angel funding. So clearly there's a lot of small business owners out there, and clearly there's thousands of companies that are getting backed, not just by VCs, but angels. And thousands of ideas that wish they could be backed. So right. That's why there's probably, theoretically at least, a need for these sites. So lots of these sites and lots of these services, lots of companies, lots of these services emerging to help bring that capital to the entrepreneur. So today we're going to start looking with, we're going to look at Raise Capital and Fund Finder, but we're going to start with Fund Finder.
Hi, I'm Brett Conkin, founder. Whether your needs are funding, talent, feedback, or support, Fund Finder is committed to your venture's success. Upload your free pitch page, tell us about your venture and needs, and we'll help you share it, connect, and thrive. We like to think of Fund Finder as speed dating for entrepreneurs.
Volo is an online scheduling and business management solution for health clubs, studios, and trainers. Scheduling, invoicing, staff and member management all in one place, accessible anytime, anywhere.
I mean, what does an entrepreneur really need? Market feedback, financing, and talent.
I just love the fact that all these companies are emerging, and we launched in June 2007. So it's kind of nice to see that we have some validation for our idea pitches.
I think that there's a lot of interesting aspects to these business models, and there's a lot of areas where I think there may be trouble. And I think on one side, the interesting parts are the ability to create, maybe new forms of liquidity in the market, create efficiency, create access to ideas for investment. I think on where you segment yourself is going to be really interesting. If you go up to the venture size, it's going to be really tricky for these kinds of services because there just frankly aren't that many deals. We were just looking at the Price Waterhouse data, 2,500 deals in the first quarter. That's just not that many for lots of these services that are really going to have to be significant volume. And then if you go down below the venture to the angel community, you're going to have really, in my mind, in my experience, people invest in early stage, really super early stage deals for two main reasons. One, they know the person, and they have a huge affinity with the person, or they know the category, and they know this, there's a new kind of device or a new widget that they're from some other widget business that was similar, and they get it, they understand why it's different, where the market is. If you don't fit into one of those two camps, it's usually really tough to raise early stage money.
Actually, carrying on that theme, when you're a VC, there are so many business plans rolling in over the transom every day. You just don't really have time to look at them, again, unless they are referred to you by someone you know, or it's in a space, as you just said, where you have a great interest. So at some level, this is a video transom. We'll throw it in. I think what I'd like it better, Fund Finder has done a really nice job here of identifying a problem. Hey, there's a lot of people looking for money. There are people with money. Somebody needs to be the conduit. Great. Right. What I don't get a sense of, even for 10 seconds in their pitch, is what specialty do they have? What's their experience? Why are they the one that are going to have the ear of the folks with the dollars?
Right, which is probably good. We should be looking at sort of the management, but the thing that the management team, no
matter how good the management team is, they can't have enough expertise in enough categories across enough areas to be able to provide insightful domain expertise on 10,000 businesses across every possible category. So I think it has to come down to, is there some sort of portfolio approach happening here where if you just invest in enough small ideas, some of them become a Google or some significant return. At the end of the day, early stage investing and venture investing is it's a hits business. It's about finding the needles. It's not about buying a zillion pieces of hay.
Let's go through this. But you just touched on the novelty. First, let's just touch on the novelty. And the fact of the matter is, these sites are definitely needed. There are a number of companies out there looking for funding, and there's thousands of angel investors and angel networks. You're talking about VCs, but these guys are trying to address the angel networks and angels out there. So they're trying to aggregate them, much as Vator's trying to aggregate them, much like everybody else. So what's more interesting to talk about is, what is their business model?
What's more interesting to whom?
Me.
Okay.
And it's my show. So so I think that, because you've talked about the challenges, and well, actually a little bit of the challenges, but let's just talk about the business model, because that's sort of what you touched on. The interesting part is that they do want to go and create a fund. At least that's what they provide in their profile. They want to have, at some point, have a co-investment fund. So what do you think about that idea?
Again, I'd love to right from the get-go, in the initial 30 seconds, say, hi, I'm the CEO, and I've helped 10,000 small companies find funds, or I've helped 27 companies. Tell me something that makes you credible, because for so many people, both in the Valley and, frankly, formerly in investment banks, when that job goes away, the next thing you do is say, I'm going to start a fund. And those who are most successful are those who have some really relevant experience or some track record. And I don't get any sense of that
it's
here.
A tough one.
So unless what you're saying, unless what they're saying is, show us all your ideas and we're going to fund some of them. So we are almost an angel network. That's a whole different animal. But I'm not sure that that's what he's actually saying.
I mean, I agree, and I also think representation and exchanging are different than principal investing. And so I think they are different skills, they require different talents. One is about transactions, and the other is about a long-term sort of participation in a business. And it's again, doing both is tricky. So if this is really a deal flow engine for an investment group, and that's really they're sifting through this to get to deals, then great, maybe it's brilliant, and maybe there's some way of finding really under-the-radar deals here. If it's a transaction exchange where that's its own discipline, that's its own business, that's a different set of skills, and there's a reason why there's venture capitalists, there's a reason why there's investment banks, there's a reason why those skills are separated out. Sometimes they merge, sometimes they do a little bit of the same thing, but for the most part, they fall under different disciplines.
Right, and if you really do have a good track record, you're not going to want to share all those deals with everybody else, which is what they're trying to do.
Not to be at all gratuitous, but Vator TV is terrific because it gives me a snapshot of the company in their own words or in their own edited words, shows me some information, and it lets me have an ongoing conversation with the company. It's not, look at my pitch, invest in my company. It's a whole different animal. That's why Vator, and again, not meaning to be gratuitous, but it's why it makes so much more sense to me.
Well, we would partner with companies like FundFinder if they really have a service to help matchmaking. That's fine. We're not all about matchmaking the entrepreneurs with investors. We're about just having an open forum where entrepreneurs can make connections with pretty much anyone. And we're a media platform too, which is interesting because we have our newsroom, which is interesting because FundFinder also has news and has a resource, but they don't have original content. They kind of lack that where we.
So I think Vator's obviously on the media end of things. Yeah. There's lots of people taking different cuts. There's a lot of business brokers out there. That's a pretty substantial business sort of for someone who wants to sell their gas station or their Subway franchise or whatever.
We don't really target those.
So I think there are categories of folks who may be on the front end of the business broker, so to speak, the business fundraiser at a low end. There might be folks who say, you know what, I'd love to invest in franchises. I think franchises are the thing of the future, and if I could put $100 grand to work, that'd be great. In that category, there may be ways there, but I think you need to really figure out specifically where you play. If you're going to be basically finding early stage money for a lot of random startup ideas, I think that's a good way to not have that many transactions and lose a lot of money in a hurry.
Well, and it's interesting, I don't know if their model is to get subscriptions from entrepreneurs, but I don't think that lasts. At least subscriptions from entrepreneurs who want to reach out to investors, because you just have too many entrepreneurs and too few investors. And so entrepreneurs aren't going to consistently be paying. If this is, like they say, this is a speed dating.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with their model. Better that I were, I do suppose. But the only way to make it really work for the entrepreneur is to have it a success fee. If you find me funds that I would not have found any other way, then I will pay you a fee for that. But to your point, I don't know that there's enough of that, or that those hits happen often enough.
But then that's
to
a
sustain
consulting
company.
business, so, right? That's a consulting business.
Well, it's a consulting
and
business, and there's a whole bunch of SEC stuff that comes along with that as well, if
Right.
you're making contingent
And that-
compensation and so on. So I think
That's
the
not
trick
an
becomes
automated online business.
the trick becomes, so I think there are, in a macro sense, a need for creating efficiency in early stage financing. I'm a firm believer of that. I believe
Okay.
that there are some draconian but unfortunate, but still need to be dealt with laws when it comes to transacting securities online and transacting securities at an early stage.
Public securities.
Even Reg D stuff, there's transaction issues with if you're brokering the trading of those securities, you're now acting as a broker dealer.
All right.
Well,
Yes.
okay. Well, let's go look at Raise Capital. We can
Yeah.
continue this conversation.
When we
Sort
get
of
there.
different company, doesn't have the news component to it, but claims to have 3,200 investment opportunities. So let's take a look.
Question: how does a new business get born and prosper? Well, it all starts with a great idea. That's your part. Then you need to find the funding to bring it to life and make it grow. That's where we come in. We are RaiseCapital.com, and we help bring people with ideas together with the people who can fund those ideas. Visit us on the web at RaiseCapital.com and register your business idea. Then potentially thousands of investors, venture capitalists, and other financial backers have a way to find you when they search for a business or new idea they want to fund. It's a direct connection, no middleman. Not only is it easy, it's also free to register with RaiseCapital.com.
Okay, so here's a company. They don't plan to invest. So they don't claim that they want to have an invest or co-invest. Looks like it's free to post for an entrepreneur, and basically what they're going to do is just charge premium services. But one of the things, premium services to the entrepreneurs, one of the things that we didn't talk about with Fund Finder and with this company is sort of a business model that targets the investor, so charging them, which is one of the trends I'm seeing for a lot of these matchmaking sites. Whether it's Fundability or Genesis Exchange or Funding Universe, a number of other companies that are trying to do the same thing, basically coming in and selling investors the software to manage these investments.
I mean, I think maybe sort of private portfolio deal flow management, there may be an opportunity there. I also think that there's opportunities on a more immediate angle. I don't know if matching, just simply matching is that, that there's going to be enough transactions to make a business there, but if you can attract entrepreneurs who are a good demographic, if you can provide services for them, if you can provide advice to them, if you can sort of be an all business for entrepreneurs, then there's businesses there as well. Right. So I think providing advice and helping people raise money isn't just about matchmaking, it's actually about helping them get game ready for the financing process.
Right. But then that's a consulting business. I mean, that's what consultants do, right? They try to get them prepared because they may not all get funding, so you have to kind of get something out of them. So you're going to consult them and advise them on being prepared, which is sort of the business that I'm seeing a lot of these companies move into. Besides,
it's almost, to your point, it's almost a feature, a compelling and interesting feature, but of a larger small business site.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of stuff you need, and one of the things you might need is training as to how to prepare yourself for a pitch. I will say, by the way, I thought their pitch, clearly they either know somebody in the business or spent a lot of money on that pitch, but it was a very professional-looking advertisement for what they do that clearly explains what they do. Somehow it seems
more credible than the other one.
They seemed very fancy, but I think the question becomes, if you're in the money business, you probably have to, you got to make sure you got that, you got to look good. But I would still be concerned that there's I've yet to see a company that's a private exchange pop up in the horizon that's made it hugely successful. So it's a category a lot of people have tried to get into. I think it's a tricky category. I would move more towards media than I would towards matchmaking. Right. That's the end of the game I would play in.
Yeah, not to jump back to the previous company, but speed dating for funds is a little casual for people putting money to work. I'm not sure I would use that language. It's a kind of a scary thing to invest in someone unless you really don't care. And if you really don't care, you're not looking here for the place to invest.
But it doesn't, when you think about it, it doesn't really work. It's just really
because at this level, you're probably talking about individuals' funds, and they probably are very careful about my check. And that check probably has a person's name on it, not a company's name on it, is my guess.
Which is really interesting is that they actually disclose on Fund Finder. I didn't really look through Raise Capital, but they probably do. But they disclose how many people are seeking for
Right.
the funds they're seeking for. And that's actually, I mean, we draw the line there. We actually don't. We know who's actually looking for funds, but we don't disclose that. So that's scary for the individual. We don't want them to appear like they're soliciting.
It would be very interesting to talk to them to see who they believe are their actual investors. This almost looks like a perfect site for, you know, the senior retiree who's sitting down in Florida and looking for a fun project.
Yeah.
And so, here's a business I'm really interested in, and look, he seems like a nice guy. Let's go from there.
Yeah.
But then you're facilitating the connection of the people more than the company. And I think that I agree with. I think if you're basically saying, "Hi, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in this category. I'm trying to, you know, roll up paper routes or something," and someone else was in the paper route business for a long time, and you can figure out a way to create some wacky business out of that, and there's an expert. It's really a human connection, not a business connection at that point.
Yeah.
And I think most
so
investing.
Which company would, okay, I always do this, but you have to place a bet on one of the companies, at least at this stage, at their stage. Which one would you bet on? Which model? I mean, Raise Capital doesn't seem to give that much away in terms of what their business model is. But which one?
I'm going to bet on the focused business as opposed to the, we're a matchmaker, we're showing videos, we're investing. I'm going to bet, if I have to pick one of the two, I'm going to bet on Raise Capital, but I still think it's a very difficult business in general.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I would say that Raise Capital is going to have to, I think that if it's going to have the model of selling software, I think that they're going to have a tough, they're going to be challenged by AngelSoft, which is already giving that software away. So they're going to have to figure out what their model is. I think subscriptions to entrepreneurs haven't really, it's not clear what exactly they're going to be selling to entrepreneurs. So the other company, Fund Finder, you know, it's sort of almost looks like Vator a bit with a lot
minus
less,
the original content, which is a big deal.
Minus the original content. And
the fabulous host.
And a different objective. So I'd say that they're probably moving in the smarter or the right direction, I think, with the media angle. But so anyway, that's my 2 cents. So great.
That's like 8 cents.
Thank you. Yeah. I have a lot to say about this sector. What can I say? So anyway, by the way, we have Idea Blob on this site. We have the Funded on this site with Fund and Connect. So we have a number of companies that are trying to do the matchmaking. They're on Vator. So for entrepreneurs out there who are looking for these services, you can check them out. And you can also get in touch with Liz if you're thinking about an exit strategy. You could also talk to Ezra Roizen. So Lise Buyer, Ezra Roizen, thank you so much. And you've been watching Vator Box, and I'm Bambi Francisco. We'll see you next time on Vator TV.